I never thought I'd replace keyboard shortcuts for animation, but the Tourbox Elite Plus made my workflow noticeably faster and easier. Now, I've been animating for years in Clip Studio Paint, and I thought I had my setup figured out, but this surprised me. Usually I'm jumping between different menus, shortcuts, auto actions, tapping the screen, two-finger tap to undo, accidentally clicking on stuff, and oftentimes I just get used to it. But in reality, every second counts. Every time I shift my hand from the drawing position to the two-finger position to move or rotate the canvas and then turn it back, that's precious seconds being wasted. The Tourbox doesn't just replace shortcuts. It maps my entire workflow onto one device. Let me show you. I use Clip Studio Paint EX on the 11-inch iPad Pro, and I absolutely love the ability to just take my entire drawing setup on the go. Yes, I do have other tablets and accessories that I could use, but there's just something so convenient about having my iPad and the Apple Pencil with me. However, not having a keyboard and not having access to the full suite of shortcuts can sometimes be a bit of a pain, especially on something like the iPad. Clip Studio on the iPad does allow for auto actions, pinned commands, and tools, and even a set of hotkeys on the side of the program if you swipe from the other side. But it's a bit cumbersome, especially if you forget what each button does. I remember one time I accidentally bumped this T5 key that I have because it's a touchscreen, and I had it mapped to an auto action that flattens all my layers down into one, and so I just panicked and started hitting undo a bunch of times. Not ideal. Not to mention that I've tried other Bluetooth devices like a dedicated numpad or a little game controller, but sometimes I really wish that I had more precise control, or something that feels more intuitive. For instance, I like my little game controller here, but I mapped these two buttons to rotate left and right, and I didn't have enough buttons to reset my view, zoom in and out, and map all of the different auto actions that I would typically use. So I was feeling physically limited. Using a bigger keyboard, on the other hand, was out of the question because it doesn't quite fit on my desk with my drawing tablets. The limited way I have my desk set up causes my keyboard to be behind my tablet, or putting it in front of the tablet just makes me accidentally hit keys when reaching over to draw, and overall, I'm left wanting something a bit more, while still being compact enough to store in a drawer or take up less real estate. Tourbox reached out to me and asked if they could send me their Tourbox Elite Plus for review, and I was intrigued. I've seen this mystical device here and there on the internet, but I was always under the impression that this was a device solely for video editing. It turns out it can be used for digital art as well, and it's compatible with Clip Studio Paint. And the thing that pushed me to say yes, the Elite Plus model is compatible with iPads. Yes! Now, let's be very explicit. Everything I say in this video is my own opinion. They are not paying me to say this, and they did send me this unit to me for free. Got it? Okay, so what exactly is the Tourbox? On the surface, it looks like a controller full of knobs and buttons and wheels and whatnot, and just looking at it on a screen feels almost alien, and I personally had the same thought when I looked at this thing online. However, as soon as I got this thing in my hands, it felt incredibly natural. I can identify each button and dial just by touch, without even needing to look down at the device. I didn't need to look down at my keyboard to make sure I was pressing the right button. I didn't need to use my two hands to reach all of the buttons. I just booted it up and immediately was able to start testing it with my iPad. There was a tiny bit of setup required with the dedicated iPad app, but once I had my workflow set up exactly the way I wanted it, I was using it within minutes, and it felt like such a natural part of my workflow that I found myself pressing buttons and spinning wheels like I had done it for years. So as you can see, right out of the box, it was really intuitive. The Tourbox Elite Plus model, that's the version that I have with the translucent casing, is fully Bluetooth and works with iPad. As far as I'm aware, this is the only model that is compatible with the iPad, but the device can be used with other popular applications that support keyboard shortcuts. You can use it in Procreate, DaVinci Resolve on the iPad, Affinity, Cubase, Photoshop, Lightroom, and more. There's even more compatibility on desktop, because you can use this in Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro, CapCut desktop application, and even Toon Boom Harmony, and probably anything that you could possibly map shortcuts to. And the best part, you have specific profiles that are custom to the application you're using. You can have a specific set of shortcuts and brushes and macros in CSP, and then when you switch to DaVinci Resolve, it will automatically switch the button mappings to your edit tool, your ripple delete, your timeline zoom, and more. You can even make custom presets for other use cases, and you can edit the existing presets to better fit your needs. It's also got dual Bluetooth functionality, meaning that I can use this device on Clip Studio on my iPad and then connect it to my laptop to start video editing in DaVinci Resolve on my MacBook. It's super convenient and really speeds things up to have all my settings ready to go. There is a small caveat that you have to set up your shortcuts and button mappings separately between your iPad and computer, and I haven't had a chance to confirm if you can export and import settings between the two environments. If there's an update or someone knows the answer, comment down below and share. Now, this is probably one of the biggest things that I was scared about when I first set up the Tourbox. All of the media and all of the images and videos that I saw from people using the Tourbox were mainly using the device with their left hand. That's going to be an issue because I am left-handed. I have to use this thing with my right hand. Immediately, I started panicking because some of the layout was just not made for this hand, especially the side button. It seems to be made more to be reached with a pinky, so having it in the standard orientation was just making it difficult to reach the buttons that I wanted to. I started thinking to myself, no, what's gonna happen? I want to use this device properly and make it worth the investment and the time, but if it's not comfortable for my hand, then it's all for nothing. Then I found this video by PCAT that opened my eyes. You should check out their channel, by the way. And their solution for this was absolutely phenomenal. All you gotta do is turn the device, and it still works. Now, PCAT has theirs turned 90 degrees so that they're mostly positioned like this, but I wanted to use this side button more like a thumb switch, so I opted for this 45-degree angle. If I were to make one request, which I'm sure that Tourbox has gotten a million times already, I would love to see a flipped around model so that people who use their left hands for digital art can use it. However, for me, right now, turning the model on its side is not the end of the world. Incidentally, Tourbox actually mentioned to me that there is very likely going to be an update in the next 2 weeks. There's going to be a feature where you can turn the device and the software UI/settings will match the way that you've positioned the device. So that is definitely an improvement that I can see happening in the future. Having the ability to use this device from any orientation works best for me because not only do I still have access to all the buttons and dials, but with the side button I can actually map combinations of keys. Oh yeah, bet you didn't know that you can map multiple key presses to do different things. The scroll wheel, knob, and dial all click when pressed as well, so you can have 11 keys and 3 rotary buttons, which is the dial, the knob, and the scroll, that can be used in over 160 ways, including single click, double click, and button combinations. So you could map something that works with just the side button, or you can combine it with the side button and the long button, side button and short button, side button and dial click, and so on and so forth. Another thing that I do appreciate is the fact that the buttons have a hold down feature, so I could hold down the side button to activate my eraser, use the eraser, and then release the button, and it switches back to my brush that I was using previously. The physical design of this device is something that is also interesting to me, and not just because the Elite Plus model looks like the old translucent Game Boy that I had when I was a kid. The actual device itself has a bit of a heft to it, so it's not going to be sliding around on your table anytime soon. Plus, it's got these little feet at the bottom, so this bad boy will be staying in one place while you're working. One thing that I do appreciate is the haptic feedback. This is something that you can turn down or even turn off within the console app, but I just love the clickiness of the dial and the knob, and it definitely gives this device a more fidget cube quality to it. I just want to keep using it just to hear all the clicks and whirs. But again, that's a feature that you can turn off or even turn on and off for specific functions, so that makes this device even more customizable. The device runs on AA batteries, and honestly, that does not bother me one bit. But if you're someone who cares about that sort of thing, maybe invest in some rechargeable batteries or get one of those mega packs of batteries at your local supermarket. Personally, not a deal breaker for me, but then again, I haven't had any issues with the battery just yet. I've only been using this thing for about 2 to 3 weeks. There's a lot of features that I have yet to dive into, but I would really love to get into them when given the chance, such as experimenting with the on-screen HUD, trying out different button combinations I haven't tried yet, mapping out more complicated macros, and even some system operations. The Tourbox has the ability to adjust the iPad's volume, the brightness, one-click screenshot, quick search, and even switching between apps. This could potentially be a way for me to control the iPad in any way possible from one device, and I'm extremely excited to learn more. So enough about what it's like. Let's see me actually draw with this thing. You can map a lot of different illustration and animation features to the different keybinds in the Tourbox. You can use it to enable and disable onion skin, add a new animation cell, quickly switch between tools, pop-up menus, move the canvas around, adjust the brush size and brush opacity. Basically anything that you can do in your software, it's probably something that you can map to something on this device. Personally, I've got a few animation-specific shortcuts that I typically use. The side button, like I mentioned, is my eraser tool, and it's probably one of my most used buttons. The dial is set to rotate my canvas, and clicking the dial resets the rotation. The scroll wheel zooms the canvas in and out, and again, clicking the scroll wheel resets the zoom. Turning the knob allows me to flip quickly between frames, which is great for previewing animations that I'm working on. Clicking the knob adds a new animation cell wherever the playhead is, which is great for quickly adding new frames onto the timeline. The D-pad I've got mapped to various brushes, paint bucket tools, and other things that I may need, such as switching between a pencil brush and the G-pen in Clip Studio. The tall button I've mapped to the color picker, which is a frequent tool of mine, and the short button I've mapped to be the shift key, since I personally use it a lot, especially when drawing backgrounds. Finally, I've got this button mapped to be my spacebar, which allows me to easily navigate across the canvas. I can zoom, rotate, and drag my canvas around easily to get where I need to go, all without needing to lift my hand from the device. I do briefly want to mention the video editing capabilities for this device, since I actually did test it out for video editing. I'm currently in the process of editing a reaction video, and I swear to you, I've sped up my video editing workflow too with this device. Being able to quickly zoom across my timeline, cutting and deleting clips as I go, all without having to lift my hand or touch my keyboard, it is such a freeing experience. All of my typical shortcuts and hotkeys were mapped to my device, and I was able to easily use it as if it were an extension of my hand. I've even set it up on my iPad with DaVinci Resolve as well, and so I could easily switch between Clip Studio and DaVinci on this one device, and it is absolutely fantastic. I recently delivered a final edit to one of my clients, and they were actually really impressed that I was able to complete this edit in half the time that I typically take, and it was all thanks to this device. So what are my final thoughts on this device? Honestly, I think this is going to be a forever staple in my content creation arsenal moving forward. Having the potential to store over 100 commands and being able to intuitively use it all from one hand is absolutely mind-blowing, and I've only been using this device for a couple of weeks as of making this video. With more time and practice, I can definitely see myself using this device in multiple aspects of my content creation, from maximizing the potential of my iPad Pro to greatly speeding up my video editing workflow. And if I ever decide to try out other software like Procreate or Toon Boom, then I know for a fact that I can easily integrate this device into my workspace in order to jumpstart my experience and make my life a heck of a lot easier. Is this device for everyone? No, probably not. But if you are someone who watched this video and can see the potential that the Tourbox can bring to your creative workflow, definitely consider checking out their website where they sell a variety of models, including the Elite Plus model that was featured in this video. Once again, I want to thank Tourbox for graciously sending me this device. It's been a blast reviewing this and using this in my daily workflow. If you guys want to check out more about this device or want to have a more in-depth look into all the features, hit the link at the top of the description. It will take you to Tourbox's website where you can look at everything this device has to offer. And if you're interested in learning more about my characters and the anime I'm creating, check out the video you see on screen now. Thanks for visiting the Mind Palace, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.